Just another one. For fun. Good Lord, is it fast. Welcome to Downshift. My name is Matt, and this is the new BMW i5 M60. It's their first fully electric 5 Series, and you can kind of think of it as the successor or replacement to the old V8 twin-turbo M550i, at least for now. But today, what we're going to do, thanks to our friends at International BMW, is show you everything that you should know about the new i5 M60. Okay, the first thing we have to talk about, of course, is the EV stuff. Now, what you get here in the i5 M60 is the 82 kilowatt hour battery, which translates to about 258 or 260 miles of range. Now, you can get the single motor, this of course being the big power, and the fast one has the dual motor, but you can get a single motor i40, which gets the same 82 kilowatt hour battery pack, and that'll do about 295 miles of range. So you will get less range here in the sporty fast one, but it's not that much less. But if you are worried about your range, there's a max range mode, which will limit you to 60 miles an hour, and it'll also kill your climate control to maximize the range that you'll get out of this. If you need to stretch to get to a charger, this might be a good thing to know about. So then you get to the charger. Well, what do? This thing's a 400 volt architecture, so it takes 10 to 80% in about 30 minutes. Well, BMW's built in a new system here where you can actually play games on this center console through your phone, which is super cool. I don't have it set up here because this is a dealer car, but hopefully we can get a press car from BMW so I can demonstrate just how cool that is. And then I want to talk about the look, because this is, interestingly, the most controversial thing about most modern BMWs is how they look, which is a shame because they all drive pretty well. But this new 5 Series, I think, actually looks great. I really like it draped in the Brooklyn gray that you get here. It's very handsome. This, of course, being the M, you get the shadow line package here as well, which means you get dark and blacked out grille, but you do have illuminated perimeter of your grille. You've also got your radar transponder here in the center. It shows up more on camera than it does in real life. It's a lot more subtle, but you do still notice it. You do have an M logo here, and then look at the lower fascia. You see how the black bleeds into the grille and down into your lower bumper? This is the first time that we've seen this on a sedan, but we did see it on the X5 and X6 twins. Another thing that we saw on the X5 are these running lights, which are still pretty cool. Additional cooling, a lot of cooling for an EV up front here. Of course, BMW roundel circled in blue. And of course, P0 all-season tires, 20-inch wheels here. You can go up to a 21, which will have kind of removable aero blades here, but I think these are pretty handsome. Of course, you've got your red M brakes, and of course, you have your M designation in your spoke there. And it wouldn't be an M car without the M wing mirrors and the fang here. And of course, black window treatments for your shadow line, completely flush door handles as you'd expect. But look at this, you've got your Hoffmeister kink, and it says 5 in here. And that's not the only place that it says 5. You open the door here, and you've got it right there on the body structure. So you close it up. That, of course, passenger side, just where the fuel door would be, that is your charging door. And around back, very aggressive black diffuser, but of course with no exhaust, because why would you need it? Simple dual bar LED taillights, M60, i5, and then a black subtle lip spoiler. I have to say, it's a handsome car. And we just talked about how many M logos are on this thing, so let's talk about performance. This thing will do 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds in real world testing, about 3.8 in the real world. It's making 593 horsepower and 586 pound-feet of torque, which makes it the most powerful 5 Series that we've ever seen, at least until the new M5 comes out. And then I want to talk about all the sounds that you get on here. Now, this is a different start-stop sound than we had in the past. Listen. Very bassy. And then, of course, you have your iconic sounds that you can flip on and off here, and of course they change depending on what drive mode you're in. And And then we should talk about the ride. Now, of course, this thing has adaptive dampers, as you'd probably expect, but you also have air suspension in the back to kind of self-level and keep things nice and smooth. You also can option powered or active anti-roll bars, which will disconnect when you're going straight, which will give you a little bit more suspension travel and will let the body kind of roll over bumps in a more luxurious fashion. And since this thing is bigger, it gets rear steer to help you navigate smaller spaces. And then, stepping into the trunk, you see that you have a very conventional sedan style trunk in here. It's actually pretty deep. It goes very far back. You've got seats that fold 40, 20, 40. You can fold them from the rear here. It's pretty good. Now, this is less than you're gonna get in the gas 5 Series, but it is more than you'll get in the EQE. And if you were expecting a frunk, no frunk here. But let's step up and talk about the rear seats. Now, this is pretty cool. I like the door handle. I really like the Bowers & Wilkins speaker covers. This is very similar to what we saw in the 7 Series, but I'm gonna get in here. I'm at 6'1", I got my big coat on, nice and puffy. And I've got loads of legroom back here. You see what I don't have though is a rear pocket, but what I do have is the iPad I should say, activity mount. Remember iPods? Maybe that's me dating myself, but you do have the activity mount here. Good legroom. Decent headroom, a little bit tight, but it does have that thoughtful cutout right there for your head. Big pano roof, bringing lots of air and light in here. We've got dual air vents, dual USB-Cs, and you can spec heated rear seats back here as well. It's pretty comfortable, the leather's nice, and again, look at these speaker covers. But we're back up front to talk about the steering wheel. Now, it's the newer M steering wheel that we saw in the i7. It looks pretty good, flat bottom with kind of a nice metallic effect. But look at this. You have a single paddle and it says boost. Now, why would you have paddles that say boost in something without a turbo, something without an engine? Well, this, of course, is an extra performance dump. So let's say you're rocking around in comfort mode and you're at max chill, which is where this car kind of shines, but then you want to just unleash a little bit of power. You just want to have a little bit of fun, but you don't want to go all the way into my modes, go into sport, and then all that sort of thing. So you can just press this and have full power for 10 seconds at a time. You can kind of keep pressing this. But this isn't the only cool thing. Over here, you have your, what do they call it? Driver Assist Pro, which is incredible. Driver Assist Plus. It's level 2 autonomy. You don't get adaptive cruise as standard, which is weird, but when you have the Pro upgrade or the Plus upgrade, you have one of the best systems out there. This is something that we really loved in the i7. It'll change lanes for you. It'll just drive on the highway for you, hands-free for seemingly ever. This is a great autopilot suite. And then I just want to touch on the interior design real quick. Now, this, of course, is a completely new generation, and it very much looks it. All of the new updated systems and screens. You've got the crushed glass effect with the ambient light that we saw in the i7 and the 7 Series. This kind of reminds me more of like a baby 7 Series than a bigger 3 Series. But it looks fantastic. I still love some of the details here, and of course the detailing on the Bowers & Wilkins sound systems. And they've reworked some of the climate stuff, but I want to talk about the luxuries first. You have a button here to immediately go to your heated and cooled seat or your heated steering wheel. Now, of course, the cooled seat is an upgraded option. You can also upgrade to heated rear seats, but it's so much easier to control here without having to go into the climate menu, and we'll talk about some of that being new later. And of course, the luxury of the pano roof. But let's move over here because I want to talk about the technology. Now, you've got a nice head-up display. It's full color. There's like 3 different ways that you can kind of customize it. It's really nice. And then you come down here into your digital instrument cluster. Again, pretty customizable, like 7 to 11 different ways of customization, different colors. You can go into digital art and have a different screen like that. It's really nice. Loads of information, very helpful. You come over here, and again, very big screen. This is part of your actually updated, not iDrive 8, but iDrive 8.5. And that's why we're seeing not the conventional tile display, but it's a more vertical tile display, like this. So your map, which is actually quite good, and works really well to integrate into charging. So you will want to use the native navigation if you're doing something like a road trip, but I did mention earlier, you have a new climate system. Now, everything that you would normally use real quick is right here, and it's always on screen, it's always in the lower right here, so immediate heated steering wheel, heated seat, climate, temperature adjustments. But if you want to adjust like where your fans are and that sort of thing, you can adjust them here, but you can also adjust it here in your new climate screen. I do like this. This does feel better and more organic than it was in iDrive 8. But other than that, you have wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, throw it into reverse, and we've got, as you would expect, our awesome 360 cameras, which I don't like the gesture control, but I do like the fact that the car here, the Brooklyn gray looks a little bit off, but maybe we go onto this side, it looks a little bit better. But I like that. You've also got your startup or your backup assistant. It's kind of your breadcrumbs, so it'll remember how you got into someplace. And it'll get you out. Super cool. And also, it'll stay on when you roll forward. And look at that. Foot off the brake, foot on the brake. This is the level of detail that you get here on BMW. I really love that. And you like detail? Well, of course you have your adaptive content. Same kind of deal. Brakes, turn signal. You love to see it. And then I want to talk about the crystal or the crushed glass. Now you don't have as much here as spec'd, but you can of course upgrade it to it. You do have that crushed glass effect for your ambient light and your dashboard, but you do have a crystal or glass iDrive style wheel. This is going to be metallic. It's rimmed in the same metallic texture. This would kind of be crystal if you wanted to upgrade. And it looks like you have dual wireless chargers here, but interestingly, driver's side, okay, wireless charger, check, makes sense. You throw it on the passenger side, it's not. It looks exactly like it, but it doesn't have this little icon here, so it's not a wireless charger. Dual cup holders, dual USB-C, still plenty of charging. And finally, as usual, we'll talk about the price. Now, an i5 M60 starts at $81,000, and this one here is optioned up to just a hair over $90,000. But that's enough talk. Let's grab the key and take it for a drive. I'm gonna be honest, that sound never gets old. All right, let's hit it. Oh my God. Okay, it is not slow. That's pretty neat. That is pretty neat. So yeah, like 600 horsepower, just under, 590 pound-feet of torque. Like, okay, here's the thing. We've been saying all video that, you know, in comparison to the Lucid and the Tesla and, you know, the Taycan Turbo and RS eTron GT and AMG, it's got less power, but, ooh, I mean, at no point am I feeling like, yeah, this could use another 200 horsepower. This needs to be faster. The people that are needing that are interested in just having the fastest car, the most powerful car. But on the road, like a normal person will be driving, this is more than enough power. And you've got the iconic sounds from Hans Zimmer. They've got a new startup and shutdown sound, which is kind of fun. But man, this thing is just fast. Oh, it's quick. Oh, it's quick and it holds on. Now this has active air suspension. It has air suspension in the back. It's got adaptive dampers, so we're in firm setting now. In sport, the steering has really firmed up. In comfort, this is very light, very, very light. So it firms up, hefts up in sport, which is great, but the chassis composition is great. I can feel like I know kind of where the natural limits of traction are through a corner. It's predictable. I don't get a huge amount of feedback or feel from the steering, but I'm not really expecting that. This thing is big and it's heavy, but it is just blisteringly fast. And the brakes are excellent as well. Just another one for fun. Good Lord, is it fast. Now that kind of leads me to the ethos of this car a little bit. Now it's an i5 M60, not an i5M, right? So it's actually just kind of, what it ends up being is kind of a replacement for the M550 in the lineup. And the M550 is just like, it's got V8 experience, it makes V8 sounds like the M5, it's fast like the M5, but it leans more on the 5 Series than the M side of things, if you kind of know what I mean. It's way easier to live with on a day-to-day basis. It's not nearly as stiffly sprung, and that's kind of what you're getting here. Like, there's a bunch of M logos all over this car. Look at this rear steer work. Man! There's a bunch of M logos all over this car, and it is, like, neck-snappingly fast. It is perfectly fast enough. But it is very luxury inclined. Like, now that I'm just in personal mode, I've got the soft dampers on, like, it is, these roads are terrible, but you wouldn't be able to tell because it's super quiet in here. The ride is excellent. It very much feels like it's luxury car first. It's more of like a smaller 7 Series than a bigger 3 Series. It's got less dynamic, twitchy, sporting pretensions and more of like big power, cushy, almost GT car type inclinations. And ultimately what that means is it's a good luxury car. This, in personal or efficient, when you're gonna get your max range, this is kind of when the car is at its best. It's really natural luxury car experience, but that's why they give you this little paddle here on the left. This is why they give you the boost paddle, because you wanna probably stay in this, but then you do want the power. Oh, the full power at a moment's notice. And that's what the boost paddle's for. I don't have to go into my modes and then go into sport and worry about traction or anything. I can just, oh, I'm cruising casually here. No, I want mega power. Oh, I really like this thing. That's a good time for the final thoughts. And those are the 16 things you need to know about the i5 M60. It is a really fast, really comfortable luxury sedan. Is it a sports sedan? Are you ever gonna take it on track? Maybe we need to spend a little bit more time with it, but I am thoroughly impressed with what we have here so far. So thanks again to our friends at International BMW for letting us have a go, and we'll see you in the next one.